English as a lifeline, how I overcame challenges to save lives. The dream begins. My name is Sophia, and I was born in a small village in Romania. My village was surrounded by forests, rivers, and mountains. Life was simple, but it was not easy. My father was a carpenter, and my mother worked at home, taking care of me and my younger brother. We were a middle-class family, but we had big dreams. From a very young age, I had a dream. I wanted to become a nurse. I didn't know much about medicine, but I'd seen how nurses helped people in my village. They were respected, and they saved lives. I wanted to be like them, but there was one big problem: English. In my village, we spoke Romanian. At school, we learned some English, but it was very basic. I could say hello and how are you? But that was it. I didn't know how to read or write in English, and I knew that to become a nurse, I needed to learn English. All the medical books, all the exams, and all the opportunities were in English. One day I asked my English teacher, "Miss, how can I learn English properly?" She looked at me and said, "Sophia, English is not just a language, it's a key. If you want to open the doors to a better life, you need this key." Her words stayed with me. I decided that no matter how hard it was, I would learn English. First step, a broken dictionary. I didn't have money to buy English books or join a coaching class, but I had determination. One day, I found an old, broken dictionary in the garbage near my school. It was missing some pages, but it was still useful. I took it home and started reading it every day. At first, it was very difficult. I didn't understand most of the words, but I didn't give up. I started with the simplest words and wrote them down in a notebook. I practiced saying them aloud even if I made mistakes. My brother would laugh at me, but I didn't care. I knew I had to keep going. The turning point. A radio and a dream one evening. My father brought home an old radio. It was a gift from a relative. I turned it on and found a station that played English news. I couldn't understand much, but I listened carefully. The voices were clear and the words sounded beautiful. I decided to listen to the radio every day, even if I didn't understand everything. Slowly, I started recognizing some words. I would hear a word on the radio and then look it up in my dictionary. This became my daily routine. Listen, learn, and practice. The struggle, fear, and embarrassment. As I started learning more English, I wanted to practice speaking, but I was scared. What if I made a mistake? What if people laughed at me? One day, I gathered the courage to speak in English with my friend Maria. I said, "Maria, how are you today?" Maria looked at me and laughed. "Why are you speaking like that? Are you trying to show off?" I felt embarrassed. My face turned red and I wanted to run away, but I didn't. I took a deep breath and said, "No, Maria, I'm not showing off. I'm learning English because I want to become a nurse." Maria stopped laughing. She looked at me and said, "That's a big dream, Sophia. I hope you succeed." That day, I learned an important lesson. It's okay to feel scared, but you should never let fear stop you from chasing your dreams. The first big opportunity. After months of hard work, I felt more confident in my English. I could read simple sentences, understand basic conversations, and even write short paragraphs. Then, one day, I saw a poster in my school. It was about a scholarship program for students who wanted to study nursing in a big city. The application form was in English. I was nervous, but I decided to try. I filled out the form with the help of my dictionary and wrote a short essay about my dream of becoming a nurse. A few weeks later, I received a letter. My hands were shaking as I opened it. The letter said, "Congratulations, Sophia. You have been selected for the scholarship." I couldn't believe it. I ran home and showed the letter to my parents. My father hugged me and said, "I'm proud of you, daughter. This is just the beginning." Leaving home. A new chapter. The scholarship meant I had to move to a big city. It was my first time leaving my village. I was excited, but also scared. The city was so different from my village. There were tall buildings, busy streets, and people from all over the world. And everyone spoke English. On my first day in the city, I felt lost. I didn't know how to use the bus system, and I couldn't understand the signs. I asked a man for help, but he spoke too fast. I didn't understand what he said. I felt like crying. But then I remembered why I was here. I had a dream, and I wasn't going to let anything stop me. I took a deep breath and tried again. This time, I spoke slowly and clearly. The man smiled and helped me. That day, I learned another important lesson. In life, you will face challenges, but you must keep trying. Every small step brings you closer to your dream. In the next part, I'll share how I faced new challenges in the city, improved my English, and took the first steps toward my dream career. Stay tuned. The City of Dreams and Challenges. The city was overwhelming at first. The noise, the crowds, and the fast-paced life were nothing like my quiet village. But I was determined to adapt. My scholarship covered my tuition fees, but I still needed money for food, rent, and other expenses. I decided to find a part-time job. First job, a lesson in humility. I applied for a job at a small cafe near my college. The owner, Mr. Popescu, asked me, "Can you speak English well?" I hesitated but said, "I'm learning, sir. I can understand and speak basic English." He nodded and said, "Okay, you can start as a cleaner. If you work hard, I'll give you a chance to interact with customers." I was happy to have a job, even if it was just cleaning tables and washing dishes, but I knew this was my chance to practice English. Every day, I listened carefully to how the customers spoke. I noticed the words they used, how they ordered food, and how they greeted each other. One day, a customer asked me, "Excuse me, where is the restroom?" I froze for a moment. I didn't know the word restroom, but I remembered hearing it before. I pointed toward the bathroom and said, "It's there, sir." He smiled and said, "Thank you." That small interaction made me feel proud. I was starting to understand and respond in English. College life, a new world. College was both exciting and challenging. My classes were in English, and most of my classmates spoke fluent English. I felt out of place at first. During lectures, I struggled to understand the professors. They spoke too fast, and I couldn't keep up with the medical terms. One day, after class, I approached my professor, Dr. Ionescu. I said, "Sir, I'm having trouble understanding the lectures. Can you help me?" He looked at me kindly and said, "Sophia, learning a new language takes time. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And remember, everyone starts somewhere." His words gave me hope. I started recording the lectures on my phone and listening to them at night. I also borrowed English textbooks from the library and read them slowly, looking up every word I didn't know. Turning point. A friend's help. One of my classmates, Anna, noticed my struggles. She was fluent in English and offered to help me. We started studying together after class. She taught me how to pronounce difficult words and explained the meanings of medical terms. Anna also introduced me to English movies and TV shows. At first, I couldn't understand anything, but I kept watching with subtitles. Slowly, I started recognizing common phrases and expressions. I even started using them in my conversations. One day, Anna said, "Sophia, your English is improving so fast. I'm proud of you." Her encouragement meant the world to me. It reminded me that I wasn't alone in this journey. The first presentation, facing my fear. In college, we had to give presentations as part of our coursework. The thought of speaking in front of the class terrified me. I was afraid of making mistakes and being laughed at, but I knew I had to face this fear. I spent days preparing for my presentation. I wrote down every word I wanted to say and practiced in front of the mirror. I even asked Anna to listen to me and give feedback. On the day of the presentation, my hands were shaking and my heart was pounding. I took a deep breath and started speaking. At first, my voice was shaky, but as I continued, I gained confidence. I made a few mistakes, but I didn't stop. I kept going until I finished. When I was done, the class clapped. My professor said, "Well done, Sophia. You've come a long way." That day, I realized that fear is just a feeling. It can't stop you unless you let it. The big break. An internship opportunity. In my second year of college, I saw a notice about an internship at a local hospital. It was a chance to work with real nurses and learn from them, but the application process was tough. I had to write an essay in English and pass an interview. I worked hard on my essay, using all the English skills I had learned. For the interview, I practiced answering common questions with Anna's help. On the day of the interview, I was nervous but prepared. The interviewer asked me, "Why do you want this internship?" I took a deep breath and said, "I want to learn and grow. I come from a small village, and I've worked hard to get here. This internship is my chance to prove myself." The interviewer smiled and said, "Your determination is impressive. Welcome to the team." I got the internship. It was my first step toward my dream of becoming a nurse. The internship. Learning and growing. The internship was challenging but rewarding. I worked with a team of nurses who were experts in their field. They spoke English fluently, and I struggled to keep up at first. But I didn't give up. I asked questions, took notes, and practiced medical terms every day. One of my mentors, Nurse Maria, became my guide. She taught me how to interact with patients and explained complex medical procedures. She also encouraged me to speak up during team meetings. "Your ideas matter, Sophia," she said. "Don't be afraid to share them." With her support, I started contributing more to the team. I even gave a presentation on a case study I had worked on. It was a proud moment for me. The realization, English as a tool. During my internship, I realized something important. English wasn't just a language, it was a tool. It helped me communicate, learn, and grow. Without English, I wouldn't have been able to understand the medical journals, attend the meetings, or collaborate with my team. I also realized that learning English wasn't just about grammar and vocabulary. It was about confidence, persistence, and the willingness to make mistakes. In the next part, I'll share how I faced the final challenges of college, graduated as a nurse, and achieved my dream career. Stay tuned for the inspiring conclusion. The final stretch, graduation and beyond. The internship was a turning point in my life. It gave me the confidence and skills I needed to pursue my dream career. But the journey was far from over. I still had to complete my degree, pass my exams, and find a full-time job as a nurse. The final year. Balancing act. The final year of college was the toughest. I had to balance my studies, my internship, and my part-time job at the cafe. There were days when I felt exhausted and overwhelmed, but I reminded myself why I started this journey. One night, after a long day of work and study, I called my parents. Hearing their voices gave me strength. My father said, "Sophia, remember why you're doing this. We believe in you." Their words motivated me to keep going. I created a strict schedule to manage my time. I woke up early to study, attended classes during the day, worked at the cafe in the evening, and practiced medical terms at night. It was hard, but I knew every effort would bring me closer to my dream. The final exams, a test of perseverance. The final exams were approaching, and I was nervous. The syllabus was vast, and the questions were in English. I spent hours reading textbooks, solving problems, and revising my notes. I also practiced writing essays in English to improve my writing skills. On the day of the exams, I felt a mix of fear and determination. I told myself, "You've worked hard for this. You can do it." The exams were challenging, but I gave my best. When the results came out, I couldn't believe my eyes. I had passed with distinction. My professors and classmates congratulated me, and I felt a sense of pride and relief. The job hunt, facing rejection. After graduating, I started applying for jobs as a nurse. I updated my resume, wrote cover letters, and prepared for interviews. But the job hunt was harder than I expected. Many hospitals rejected me because of my lack of experience or my English skills. One interviewer said, "Your medical knowledge is good, but your communication needs improvement." I felt discouraged, but I didn't give up. I took his feedback seriously and worked on my communication skills. I practiced speaking English every day, joined online forums to discuss medical topics, and even took a short course on professional communication. The breakthrough, landing my first job. After months of applying, I finally got an interview with a hospital in the city. The interview was tough, but I was prepared. I answered their medical questions confidently and spoke about my internship experience. At the end of the interview, the hiring manager said, "Sophia, we're impressed with your determination and skills. Welcome to the team." I got the job. It was a dream come true. I called my parents and shared the good news. They were overjoyed and proud of me. The first day at work, a new beginning. On my first day at work, I felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. The hospital was modern and bustling with activity. My team welcomed me warmly, and my manager gave me my first assignment. I worked hard and gave my best. I asked questions when I didn't understand something and collaborated with my colleagues. Slowly, I started gaining confidence in my abilities. The realization, dreams do come true. One day, as I was working on a patient case, I realized how far I had come. From a small village with no knowledge of English to a nurse in a big city, my journey had been full of challenges and sacrifices, but every step was worth it. I thought about my parents, my teachers, and my friends who had supported me along the way. I felt grateful for their love and encouragement. Future, giving back. Now that I've achieved my dream, I want to help others like me. I started volunteering at a local clinic, providing free medical care to underprivileged patients. I also mentor young students from small towns, showing them that no dream is too big if you're willing to work hard. A life lesson: never give up. My journey taught me many lessons, but the most important one is this: never give up. Life will throw challenges at you, but you have the power to overcome them. Believe in yourself, work hard, and keep moving forward. The conclusion: a message to you. If you're reading this, I want you to know that you can achieve your dreams too. It doesn't matter where you start or what obstacles you face. What matters is your determination and willingness to learn. Start today. Take small steps. Learn something new every day. And remember, every effort you make brings you closer to your dream. This concludes the story of English as a Lifeline: how I overcame challenges to save lives. I hope it inspires you to chase your dreams and never give up, no matter how tough the journey may seem. A funny incident. Lost in translation. During my first month as a nurse, I had a funny experience that reminded me how far I'd come and how much I still had to learn. It was a busy day at the hospital, and I was assigned to assist a senior nurse, Nurse Elena, in the pediatric ward. A little boy, about 5 years old, had come in with a fever, and his mother was very worried. Nurse Elena asked me to check the boy's temperature and report back to her. I grabbed the thermometer and approached the boy. I smiled at him and said, "Hello, can I check your temperature?" The boy looked at me with wide eyes and said, "What's a temperature?" I realized he didn't understand the word, so I tried to explain. "It's how hot or cold your body is. I'll use this to see if you have a fever." He nodded, but then his mother interrupted. "Excuse me, Nurse Sophia, but in our village we call it febra, fever. He doesn't know the word temperature." I laughed and said, "Oh, I see. Let me check your febra then." The boy smiled and let me take his temperature. Afterward, I reported back to Nurse Elena, who chuckled when I told her about the mix-up. "Sophia, you're doing great," she said. "But remember, sometimes you have to speak the language of your patients, not just English." That day, I learned an important lesson. Communication isn't just about speaking the right words. It's about connecting with people in a way they understand. And sometimes, that means laughing at yourself along the way. This funny little story is a reminder that even in serious professions like nursing, there's always room for humor and learning. Let me know if you'd like me to continue with more engaging parts of the story. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll share the next part soon. Don't forget to subscribe our channel as we work very for making those best English learning stories for you.